Joining me on the line as he does every Friday on the show, he is from Cinemablend.com. You can find him on social media at Mr. Controversy 83. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Reyes is here. Mike, let's dive into it because we got a lot to get to today. The big one this week is Marvel yet again. Shang Chi dropped. I know people went and saw it last night. What'd you think?
I didn't get to see it.
What?
Yeah, well, funny story. There's been this gigantic weather event that I believe is called Hurricane Ida or Tropical Storm. I forget which storm hit us.
Yeah, because it morphed into something else, didn't it?
Yeah, it's just been a blur, especially because the Northeast just, thankfully my area was only like slightly flooded. So anyway, there are two photos that really screwed me up. There was one of the major highways in Philadelphia was totally flooded. And then you look up the ballpark we have a Yankees farm team, the Somerset Patriots.
Okay.
That stadium, the field was flooded.
We've seen that here in Iowa. Back in '93, the Iowa Cubs, their park, the principal park, it was complete. The outfield was completely underwater.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, man, the video from the subway stuff in New York.
Yeah.
When we talked yesterday and you were like, yeah, I'm going tonight. And I know, like you said, your area not hit as bad, but I'm like, is he really though?
Well, I'm in part of suburban Jersey where, we have some farmland and some back roads that get flooded. And, my wife went into work yesterday and it took her maybe an hour longer to get there because the major highway was just clogged because of all the back roads not being open.
Yeah.
Traffic was not a problem last night. There was nobody on the road. I'm driving. Theater's 10 minutes away from me. I bought my tickets earlier in the week. I was set. I get to the theater. I walk in and I see the gates down and there's a handwritten sign, due to power outage, we're temporarily closed. So I bought tickets through the app, but they did refund me. But I didn't get any sort of advance notice. And then I go to look up what time the next showing was because I had to go see it in 3D because I do the 3D review.
Yeah.
I looked to see what time the next showing is near me. And the next one, I was not going to make the theater where the theater is placed in reference to this other one. I wasn't going to make it. And the thing that really ticked me off about that was there was another theater in the area that I could have made, but they closed that theater last fall due to COVID.
Oh, man, that sucks. So
they closed it because, yeah.
It was one of those nights, is what you're saying.
It was one of those nights, and I'm looking forward to seeing Shang-Chi, but at the same time, I'm still kind of burnt out on Marvel. I'm really hoping this one gives me something to latch onto, and it's yeah, it's back, but I don't know. I mean, I'm hearing good things. I hear one of the major components that people are sort of take it or leave it is the third act. And I don't know why, but I keep hearing that people are basically you're either on one side or the other when it comes to towards the end of this movie.
See, I'm excited to talk to one of the morning guys on one of our other stations. Him and another guy from our work went and saw it last night, and they both said, or one of them said on Facebook last night they loved it. But he's also a kid that loves everything.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of interested to talk to him here in a little bit. He's still, I just haven't ran into him yet today, but no, that's kind of what I'm hearing. That it looks like it's pretty good. It's doing well. People enjoy it so far. The thing I wanted to bring up was, and I've watched both of the post-credit scenes on YouTube.
Jeez, man, can't you wait?
No, I can't.
No.
Well, here's what happened. Somebody said that it was actually one of the guys that went and saw it last night. They said they saw a report that they saw it leaked about the post-credit scene that one of them. Everybody in the place went nuts to the point where you couldn't hear what the dialogue was. And I'm like, okay. So I looked it up and I watched it. And I'm like, But apparently it is a pretty good setup for what's coming next without saying, and this is without them saying what's coming next. But it's, yeah, you get it.
Yeah, it's you go back to phase one, it's Nick Fury just talking about the Avengers Initiative, and it's man, that
exactly.
sounds awesome, even if I don't know what that is.
Exactly. So there's a few interesting characters in it, I guess.
Yeah, well, I know two of them that have been mentioned publicly.
In the post-credit scene?
No, I don't know about the post-credit scene, but I know two characters, they've shown Abomination in the trailers.
Yes.
And I heard that Tim Roth was even brought back to do some vocal work for that. So, Incredible Hulk still exists, guys?
Kind of.
Because maybe Multiverse explains how Eric Bana became, Edward Norton became Mark Ruffalo?
Well, if you think about it, maybe the events of the MCU and Incredible Hulk were in different universes, but they're fairly similar, except for Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And then
I'm fine with that.
And then obviously people have mentioned that Ben Kingsley's back as Trevor Slattery.
That I don't know. I can tell you.
People.
There are 3 people that you did not mention in the post-credit scene.
Okay, good. I am going to have. I'm ready to watch this. I'm ready for something new with Marvel. I like Awkwafina. I like Simu. Simu. The whole cast just looks fantastic.
Yes. No, it looks great. And I think I would have been pissed off too. What was it? Feige said that this is an experiment, and they're like, "What do you mean this is an experiment?"
Probably an experiment because I've heard it is very much like in tune with Asian culture and Asian sort of storytelling.
Huh.
So that's probably what they mean by an experiment. It's like, hey, let's make a movie that's not a totally homogenous, white Marvel movie. Let's dip into other cultures with, ethnically appropriate casts and filmmakers, and let's do something different. Let's expand the canvas here.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line. Okay, so what did you see this week?
Wait, you son of a... You got me to talk positively about Marvel. It's supposed to be about cinema here.
Until we meet again, He-Man. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com talking positively about Marvel because they can do nothing wrong. What was there was a 9/11 one on Netflix, correct?
Yes. Premiering this weekend is a film called Worth, which stars Michael Keaton, Amy Ryan, and Stanley Tucci. And it is about the true story of the formation of the September 11th Victims Compensation Fund. And it's basically a lawyer by the name of Ken Feinberg, played by Michael Keaton, volunteered to be the special master to sort of oversee this fund that it was basically on paper meant to stop families that of the 9/11 victims and survivors from suing the airlines and from suing basically filing lawsuits for wrongdoing. And on paper, I think audiences may not be intrigued by this, but the thing is, the movie is really well put together. Michael Keaton, like that main trio right there. I mean, Michael Keaton, Amy Ryan, and Stanley Tucci are all phenomenal. But the thing that really broke my heart with this movie is there are several scenes of family claimants that are basically going into to see if they stand to collect and, how much they would collect from the fund. And you get these really heartbreaking stories about when they lost their loved ones. And for as many 9/11 movies as we've seen already, it's always been focused on the event itself. The Worth is more focused on the aftermath and this sort of legal puzzle that was put together that took several years to really nail out, because it basically started with the concept of, okay, we need a formula that shows us how much we should be paying these families. And then it snowballs into this whole thing where, okay, well, who can claim? And who decides a CEO is worth more than a janitor, and all these other sort of very human questions that came up with it. And it's a very good film, and I find it's rather timed rather well, because we're coming up on the 20th. I still can't believe we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of 9/11.
I know, right? You think about that, and that's 20 years ago, but I can tell you my exact whole morning when I first heard about 9/11, about the plane sitting.
Yeah.
I can tell you everything about it. I really can. It's just a moment frozen in time for me.
Same here, and I think we should definitely do that for next week for the 20th. I think we should share our stories, because, I mean, even I got to do interviews for the film. Like, I talked to Michael Keaton and Amy Ryan, and especially in Amy Ryan's case, she was telling me about how she remembered the response that day, where it's like, emergency responders from all over the country were coming into New York to help out.
Yeah.
And there's just some excellent performances in here, and it's a very moving drama. So I highly recommend it, but you really need to be in the right place to watch it.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line to talk about movies this week. So Worth, really good on Netflix. If you're not in the right mood, don't go after this, right?
Yeah. Okay. No, it does have some really emotionally devastating moments, and I would not recommend just diving in without at least watching the trailer.
Okay. Next movie on the list is one you haven't seen, but you're hearing amazing things. There's another Cinderella movie out.
Yeah. There is another Cinderella movie. It's on Amazon Prime. Yeah. It is a more, from what I hear, a more modern feminist spin on the original Cinderella story. And it stars recording artist Camila Cabello, I believe. Camila Cabello, yes. And also Idina Menzel's in there. Pierce Brosnan is in there. James Corden's in there. It's one of those all-star. Billy Porter. I can't forget Billy Porter as the Fairy G. And it's an all-star musical extravaganza that has gotten mixed reviews. After reading, someone had this like nuclear scorching tweet that was like, "This is a horrible, horrible." I'm trying to. I need to look it up right now. I need to find the tweet because it was something just so.
Real quick, while you look that up. If there are musicians involved or if something's in any way a musical, James Corden is in it now, right?
That kind of seems to be the conventional wisdom, and that's definitely something that people have picked up on and not liked at all.
You know what's funny?
Here it is.
Real quick, let me finish one thing with him. He's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of musicals.
He kind of is, and like he seemed nice enough when I talked to him for Peter Rabbit, but I see that James Corden, and then I see the James Corden stopping traffic in a mouse suit, air humping, and it's like, guy, read the room.
All right, well, give me that tweet real quick.
Prepare the bleep button, my friend, because someone had said, "I hated every second of Cinderella movie," and we'll have a full feature on why coming out soon. But let me just say this: I hated every second of it. So then,
amazing.
I don't know if you've heard of documentary filmmaker Werner Herzog, right? Like he made Grizzly Man, and
yeah.
So it's like his voice is basically shorthand on the internet for examining the pain and suffering of humanity. So then I retweet that and I say it was supposed to be in my best impression. I'm going to do that now. I must now see this movie for scientific and spiritual reasons. So yeah, I'm going to be watching Cinderella at some point because I need to see how bad this is, because if it's really that bad, I'm going to want to be in on it. But if it's not that bad, I'm probably going to want to go out there and say, hey, this isn't a bad movie. Maybe you should check it out.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line to talk about movies this week. All right, so we got to go quick here. Movie news this week. We'll start with the heavy story. Unfortunately, Ed Asner passes away this week.
Yeah. I'm still really in shock about that because that people are human.
Yes.
And that eventually loss is inevitable. But Ed Asner felt like one of those people that was sort of always there. Like, I mean, the man passed it at 91. He just leaves behind this amazing legacy as a human and as a performer. I mean, some people might know him from the Mary Tyler Moore Show or Luke Grant. Some people remember him from more recent things like Up or Gargoyles, or even, he was Santa and Elf.
Which that movie's almost 20 years old now.
Yeah, we're like 2 or 3 years away from the 20th on that.
Off the air, we were talking, and Ed Asner, to me, had the perfect old man voice.
He did. And again, you listen to him in Up. He was the perfect Carl Fredricksen. And he just, he was a great guy to watch. He could do pretty much anything.
Yeah.
He could play a good guy or a bad guy, but at the end of the day, he was never one of those people that played a bad guy to the point where you always saw him and there's those actors where they always sort of play a villain and it's like, ooh, I don't like you the minute they show up.
Yeah.
Ed Asner was Ed Asner.
Yeah.
Like, he played the roles well. You could believe him in those roles. But then at the end of the day, it's like, still Ed Asner. I'm still going to watch him.
No, I completely agree. Ed Asner, good dude. How old was he when he passed?
He was 91.
91. Well, he hung in there, so.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Asner, we wish you nothing but the best in the great beyond. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line. As we wrap up this week, a couple real quick mentions. Vacation Friends, which you still haven't seen yet. I have. It's freaking amazing. Apparently it's getting a sequel already.
Yeah. Apparently it was the most watched Hulu debut for like a Hulu original movie. So they've already greenlit Honeymoon Friends. And, you're getting the whole cast back. John Cena, Willa Howard, Yvonne Orji. They're all back. And the director, Clay Tarver, is also coming back to write and direct the next one.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's something to do with a honeymoon. People who have seen the movie will probably have a better idea of where that's going than I will. But already there's a concept, and I'm kind of happy for it because I'm really sick and tired of the feuds between theatrical releases and streaming movies, because it's just basically going to get to a point where certain films are being considered for theatrical and certain films are being considered for streaming right now.
Yeah.
And there really is, streaming has become sort of a rich pipeline of experimenting again. Like, you've got a whole bunch of movies that probably would not exist in the current studio system going into streaming, and then some of them become hits, and then the studio system can go in and try to make those sorts of movies, and these studios can try and replicate that success. It only feeds the market.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line. All right, to wrap up this week, a couple big trailers came out this week. I want to start with Red Notice just because it looks awesome, and it's got like 3 really, really well-known people for a Netflix movie.
I'm not surprised that a Netflix movie has that many people in it. And
really?
This movie looks... Yeah, I'm not surprised. Netflix has a lot of huge stars. And not to mention, this project was in development through Universal before Netflix bought it from them and then went and made it. Like, this was being developed with, I think, at least Dwayne Johnson, maybe Ryan Reynolds attached at the time too. But then Netflix developed it, and it's like, oh, Dwayne Johnson and Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot. And
we're talking about Red Notice.
Insane.
What's that?
Yes, Red Notice is insane. I can't wait. Someone tried to blow up the Rock with a rocket launcher.
I know, it's pretty awesome. And just Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson, I just think it's going to be amazing.
And all right, Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson together, that's your lethal weapon pairing there. That absolutely looks hysterical. They're playing to their strengths. Gal Gadot deserves a lot of credit for this because she's not just doing the Wonder Woman thing. She has...
personality.
Such a personality in this trail. Exactly. Like, they're letting her do something different in this. I think it's Rawson Thurber Marshall is his name. He directed Dodgeball. He also did Skyscraper with Dwayne Johnson. It's like he knows how to get that personality out of her, and she plays this seductive and sneaky and so deliciously evil character in this trailer that she was a standout, because it's like, wow, she actually gets to just, poke fun at these guys and kind of screw around with their heads. Yeah. And it looks like it is going to be absolutely worth the wait. I really wish it was going to a theater, because some Netflix movies do get to go to theaters, and they've been experimenting with wide releases lately. I would have loved to see this on a huge screen and just, turn up the sound and leave me.
I would be okay with that too. Gal Gadot, it's been a while since we had the really good, sneaky, fun, flirty character from anybody. And I think she's going to do it.
Yeah. And I can see why we sort of had a break from that character, because in the wrong hands, it's just a lazy attempt at sex appeal. It's just like, yeah, guys, you really want this lady. Watch her on screen.
Yeah.
But, she's an integral part in this, because the whole thing is Dwayne Johnson's recruiting Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot, who are these international criminals that have the movie's called Red Notice because, when the Interpol's looking for a particularly nasty subject, they issue this, big warrant called a Red Notice. So basically, throughout Europe, you have this most wanted warrant that's like, hey, this person's serious business. So this just looks like all sorts of fun. I cannot wait. Someone please give me that remix of Notorious from the trailer, because I'm always up for it.
I just
seriously.
The one part I really loved was, this is going to end up in handcuffs. Promises. Again, that is a scene that if you do not do it right, it's just dumb. Absolutely.
But the way that they executed and her line delivery in there, it's just like, wow. But one of my favorite parts, it was between Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson. It was like, team. See, it just feels weird in my mouth.
So the other one was Moonfall, right? Is that the name of it?
Moonfall. You got to say it right.
Okay. It looks dumb, right?
Look, it is not going to be a film that physicists are going to give awards. It is not a film that Hollywood will probably give awards, unless the effects are really impressive. But what draws me into Moonfall is Halle Berry has been having a hell of a run lately with John Wick 3, and now she's part of that series.
Yeah.
She's got this movie coming out called Bruised, where she plays an MMA fighter, which sounds obviously sounds rough as hell, and I can't wait to watch it. But the thing about Moonfall is when Roland Emmerich does disaster right, like he did in Independence Day, it can be just fun to watch. It's another one of those movies. Roland Emmerich is a very specific filmmaker because he either makes really patriotic American history movies like The Patriot or Midway, but then he makes something like Independence Day or 2012 or Moonfall, where he is just absolutely emulating Irwin Allen's Towering Inferno or Earthquake. He likes old school disaster movies, and I got to talk to him a couple of years back for Midway. And he basically said that he spent a summer with, I don't know if it was friends of a family that were friends with him, or he was with a sponsor family, but he came over because he's German or Austrian. I really have to look that up. Let me look that up very quickly because I don't want to make a mistake.
Oh, I'd hate to make a mistake. Oh, God. Okay, just my take on the trailer when I was watching it while you looked this up. It looked like one of those movies that was trying to be really, really dramatic and into the world and all this, and it's the concept is a little bit, but to me, Independence Day is more believable than what I saw. This one is so far-fetched, and it's going to take itself so serious, and it's okay, maybe it's the name and the way they did the trailer. I don't know, but I didn't buy it.
Okay, so I looked it up. Yes, German. He is a German filmmaker, so he came over from Germany in his teen years and spent a summer with a family in Virginia, if I remember it correctly. And he just was watching disaster movies and took a real liking to American history. And that basically influenced his work.
Okay.
And I can kind of see it. And if there's anybody I trust to wreck a whole planet and also have that sort of melodramatic sort of flair to the human story, it's him. And I think Halle Berry is one of those people that can do it.
Okay.
I think Halle Berry is one of those people that can carry that sort of role, and I am very excited. She's in there. Michael Pena's in there. Donald Sutherland is supposed to be in this. Patrick Wilson. It has a good cast.
Donald Sutherland's still alive?
Yes.
Wow. I don't know why I thought he was gone, but wow. Okay. Well, cool.
That always is kind of weird, where you have certain Abe Vigoda used to be the big meme where it's oh, Abe Vigoda died, and he's no, I'm alive.
I'm right here. I don't know what else to tell you.
I think he was the most erroneously reported celebrity death. I think he was one of them.
Okay. All right.
But yeah. You know what? I'm ready to just go watch Moonfall.
Okay.
It comes out next February. Again, big screen, loud. Just let me have fun. I need. Sometimes we all need vacations.
What was that movie on Netflix where they? It's kind of I believed it more than I believed Moonfall, but it was the Earth. They have to move the Earth, and they turn the Earth into a starship, and it's going through the solar system, and they almost fall into Jupiter. I believe it's a Japanese film.
Yes. Oh, it's I'm drawing a blank. I think it's I want to say The Wandering Earth.
Yes. Yeah, Wandering Earth.
Yes. Oh, memory. I love you. Mwah. But yeah, I need to see this. I can't believe I haven't already seen it. And that, you know what? Chinese filmmakers really get these kind of concepts.
Yeah, they do.
Chinese filmmakers, honestly, Asian filmmakers and, even just filmmakers around the world seem to be really killing it with sci-fi. And I think part of it is because there's that unique cultural approach to it where it's not just typical American, blowing things up and there's a different texture to it depending on what culture you're watching from, and it just makes it more exciting. And again, Netflix is helping bring that sort of stuff to worldwide audiences.
Oh, I like it. I dig it. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line. I think that'll wrap it up for this week. Mike, you have yourself a happy Labor Day weekend, okay, buddy?
You know what? I dig you as well.